All right, this is lab activity 2. Yeah. So topic for this, is Java network classes of view. Okay, this lab activity 2 is related to our module 1. Yeah. All right. So every module there is a lab activity. So you need to complete that. And also for your information, this is the individual task. Yeah. Unless I mentioned before the lab activity started, so that one could be for the group. Yeah. Or by default is the individual task. All right. So lab type is a guided plus hands-on. Estimated time is about 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, that requirement that you need to do this, you must have a JDK 17 or later. Any editor you can use that as long you can compile. Yeah. And then of course you need an internet access. So learning objective, upon completion, of this lab, student will be able to use a Java networking class. Okay, so we have a classes here, couple of classes that we going to use later on in next module, especially on socket and so on. Yeah. So INET address, URL, socket, and server socket for TCP, UDP. This is a classes, okay, that we're going to use later. Yeah. So the purpose of these classes they created is for to retrieve and also to manage the network informations. We are using this all the existing library. As I told you during the class, we're not going to develop the library itself. Yeah, unless you want to be your project to develop, fine, that's good. Yeah. So that one could be project of your final project. So that one also possible. I'm allowed to do. I like to do to hear the project if you can do it. That yeah. All right. So you need to check the proceeding. Maybe for your own purpose, yes. It's okay. So there's a project. So it's open. I told you in the beginning of the class, it's open. So you can do any project which is related. So that's why I want everyone to show to me first and discuss the topic or the content that you're going to do for the final. Yeah. All right. And then next, describe the relationship between Java networking classes. Okay. And then OSI, we already discussed at the beginning. So every one, we are computer scientists, we should know that OSI, TCP, IP, all these model layers protocol. Yeah. All right. So next objectives, write a simple program that demonstrate client and server. So mean we must have a client and also a server. Okay, so two file we need to running, not the same time, one by one. Okay, all right, in sequence. First, you have to run server version first, and then next client connect to the server. All right. So we not develop a what we call this, and then manually is like that. We start the server first, and then client connect to the server. That we did. Okay, that's the what we call the step. Okay, we not start the client and then server. Okay, for the purpose of this class, we start client server first and client. So we're running that. Unless we have do some what we call little bit coding, there's a different things. We start client, either client or server, doesn't matter. Now, with the simple one, start server first and then later client. Client will connect to the server. All right, so there's a default for all the exercises or activity. Yeah, all right. So interpret outputs, and troubleshoot a basic networking device. That's a common. As a computer scientist, especially in this subject, so you have to do this kind of the concept. Yeah, all right. So background and scenario. In this lab, you will explore core Java network classes that map to the lower OSI layer and learn how they enable communication between network applications. You will start by identifying system network detail, then move to TCP client server communication. Okay, so how to develop this scenario or this project or whatever, So TCP, client server communications. They're using protocol, TCP protocol, and then we must have a client and server. So how to do that? Yeah, all right. So this is requirement resources, similar that lab environment that we need to do. So Java editor and Wireshark. Okay, please get this Wireshark. Just if there is a assignment or topic that asks you to do that, so you have to find this. I mean Wireshark for the what we call basically we use it for tapping, right? For packet observation. So this is a topology. So basically, as I told you just now, we need to run Java server first and also the client next. So these two will connected through TCP protocol. Okay, so means two apps, yeah, or two, of course, two apps or two program we run first, Java first, and next is the client. So each side represent an application running on the same. Oh, for time being, we start with the same. Yeah, we're not focusing until we go for socket. We can running in the lab. So later we go for the socket. Yes, different machine. So everything we start with the local host first. Yeah. So after that we move step by step. For troubleshooting purpose, as I told you, we works on the local host first. Troubleshoot first. What's the problem, and later we publish to the real network. Yeah. And then communicating through socket on a defined port. Yeah. So part one, working with the INET address, this one. So there is a couple of examples that I give before regarding INET class. Yeah. And then basically INET class, the objective for this task, part one is retrieve local and remote host information. So just seems like repeated, but it's okay. It's like your exercises. So create a file name inetinfo.java. So compile. This is the code. Can run and understand that. Yeah. Okay. And then if you run in the Linux, or if you are using like a command, so this is the compare the local IP. Okay, this is a compare. This is run and observe. Compare the local IP with your system result from this. Yeah. Okay. Next, which OSI. So you just ask this, and you have to create a report for this. Yeah, at the end. So which OSI layer does INET address correspond to? Okay. All right. So you can check. So which layer? Okay, physical or data link or network layer or application layer. So double check that. Yeah. So part two. Okay. All right. Okay. Part two, using URL and also URL class connection classes. Yeah. So objective retrieve website metadata using HTTP connection. Okay, they create this class so for read all the content. Like they give some example. You can use UTM also, doesn't matter. So just to retrieve only for the purpose, and don't do anything funny on that. Yeah. Okay. All right. What HTTP? This is the question. You need to go through that. Okay, you can answer. And next part three, TCP socket. Build a simple TCP client and server. So first of all, you create this file, and then next, this is the simple code. Try to understand. Very straightforward because this is TCP. So TCP protocol. So this is server. Okay, so this is the classes. This object we're going to develop. So this is socket, the port that we're going to use for the communication. So server, we're running that, and then once there is an incoming, so server will straight away this one accept method this, okay, and then object this, and then they will display a client connected. Okay, this is server side, yeah, server side, and then they start sending anything. This one buffer reader and then printer read, yeah, and then this welcome to the server. So finally they will give there is input coming, so they will. All right, and then next the client side. Client will send something, yeah, to the, so they are using the same. If you check properly, they're using sure if you're using Windows, try to, we call this, lifted all the, what they call this, blocking. I can't remember last time they used, they block. So unblock that. So after that you can start, communicate. Okay. And then through this port. And basically, I think they block. So you lifted that. I forgot the term that we're using last time. Okay. So localhost. Okay, because the same machine, localhost. So this is a reader. We have done this. I mean, the stream. There is an input and also there's our output. So here they use an input named buffer reader, and this is a printer writer for the output. Okay. There's one input. They send the hello to the server. Send hello to the server. Okay. All right. And the server will receive that using the stream of incoming, which is input. So here they use a buffer reader, okay, class. So they put input. So they will put here, and then later they will display. Okay. All right. Okay, that's the very simple, straightforward to understand first. This kind of the fundamental you have to understand first. Yeah? And then run the server, then client. Server first, and then client, and then check. All right. Okay, so and then ask these questions. And then explore network interface. Okay, this one you're going to list all interfaces and their IP addresses. So this some sort of, I mean, we call this interfaces, yeah, according to the IP addresses. Okay, and then try to understand. And then compare Java output with the system with this command, right? And then this reflection you need to go through to answer that. Okay, and finally, you have to do some submission, screenshot each part of the output, short explanation of each Java class, including this OSI relationship, sorry, and also reflection answer. Okay, so I haven't mentioned about the code, right? Because the code, I already give the code, so I need the code for you. So just answer all the questions, screenshot, and reflection the answer. Okay, so this is some of assessment criteria that we're going to assess each of them. All right, that's regarding lab activity 2.